There's no way you can be this fucking dumb. Recently I went on a journey into the depths of YouTube and found something that I cannot believe is happening in modern times. A YouTuber by the name of Delano TV is preaching to his audience that the earth is flat. He gives a couple of interesting points when trying to back up his claim, so I wanted to go through a few of those with you. First, he states that the Bible says the earth is flat. He reads a verse from Genesis that says,
"And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so." You know what a firmament is? It's like a dome over the earth. We can't get out this motherfucker.
a firmament isn't a dome. A firmament is the sky, or in this case, the heavens, when speaking in biblical terms. So he's stating that God creating the heavens is his first point to how the earth is flat? Let's continue.
You don't believe me? Look at this rocket with a GoPro camera on it and watch how it just stop in the middle of nowhere. We can't get out this motherfucker.
2, 1.
You see how he describes the rocket as being 73 miles above the Earth's surface? Well, if that is the case, the rocket isn't consistently burning fuel. The rocket will stop burning fuel whenever it is no longer necessary for it to do so to fight the gravity and to be able to penetrate the atmosphere. I mean, look in your own video, dude. No more fuel is coming out of the rocket. I just wish this GoPro was positioned towards the horizon so we weren't having to have this argument. But it's not. So I'll continue to rip into your video.
Every picture of the earth on Google is fake.
Every picture of Earth on Google is fake? Everyone. Really. I'm sorry, let me let him finish his point.
I'm gonna show you why. You see this earth? Do this earth look like this earth? And do this earth look like this earth? Okay, let's keep on going. Do this earth look like this earth? No. They all Photoshop images. NASA says we have 10,000 to like 20,000 satellites, right? When you look in the sky, you see stars, right? But every picture I just showed you of the earth, did you see a star? Nope, you just see a plain background. 10,000 to 20,000 satellites in space, you took a picture of the earth. Do you see any of the motherfucking satellites around the so-called real earth that you got? Do you see any of them 10 to 20,000 satellites that you say that we have flying around the earth? I don't see man one of them bitches.
First of all, it's pronounced Earth, not Earth. But there's a couple of things here. So let's dissect into them. He brings up that we can't see the surrounding stars in these images. And that's due to the exposure of the camera. I'm a film student, trust me, I know all about this. If something's refracting a lot of light, in this case the Earth, then you have to bump the exposure way down in order to get a clear image. If you wanted to get a picture of the stars, which aren't refracting as much light into this specific camera, then you can bump the exposure way up and you'll be able to see the little spots. But for the stars in this case, to be able to pick up those, you'd have to bump the exposure way up, which in contrast would make the Earth look like a star itself, because it is refracting so much more light directly into the camera due to how close it is, as opposed to these stars that are millions of light years away. This is due to the camera trying to compensate. Now to my next point. He says that you can't see a single satellite in those images. Do you want to know why? It's because all satellites are different distances from the Earth. They aren't just making this blanket around the Earth all even with one another. These satellites specialized to take pictures of the Earth are positioned further from any other satellite. So if you were looking down at the Earth and even specifically at another satellite, it would look like the tiniest speck ever. These satellites can't be much bigger than your house. But can you see your house from these pictures? No. Can you see even cities in these pictures? No. Can you see the largest geological monument on all of Earth? Mount Everest? No. You want to talk pictures of Earth? How about the Japanese satellite Himawari 8 that takes live capture images of the planet every 10 minutes? Are you saying that every 10 minutes someone is editing that picture in Photoshop so that every storm, every lightning strike is exactly to a T how it looks on the Earth's surface just so they can cover up that the Earth is secretly flat? Get the out of here.
Clouds hold water? I can't hold a fucking cloud, and I can't hold water, but you telling me a cloud can hold fucking water?
This is a perfect example of a complete detachment from chemistry and the basic laws of reality. Clouds don't hold water, they hold water vapor. Water vapor only occurs after water molecules go under a physical change known as evaporation. Evaporation is where water heats up and the molecules are moving so fast because they're excited from all the heat that is exposed to them, and they get turned into a gas and then evaporate into the atmosphere. This is where the next step of the water cycle comes into play, called condensation. Condensation is where those heated up water vapor molecules start clumping back together and becoming thicker and thicker because the molecules, they do that. They fit together like a puzzle piece. That's why you see clouds. Clouds don't hold water, clouds are the water. So whenever that water is done cooling in the atmosphere, because it's much colder as you go up higher, so that's how it cools and starts clumping together, and it turns back into its cooled state of liquid, which is water, and that is when precipitation happens and it falls back to the earth. This is something you learn in the 3rd grade. You learn about the water cycle in the 3rd grade. I mean, if you'd ever boiled a pot of water in your life, literally do this short experiment at home and I promise you'll understand this fully. In this representation, let's let the water represent a lake or an ocean. And the top of the pot is the atmosphere. When the water heats up and begins to boil, it turns into a water vapor trying to escape, so it lifts itself out of the cooler water molecules trying to reach into the atmosphere. And when it does reach the atmosphere, it begins to clump up at the top and sticking together. This is the condensation. This is just like the clouds in our atmosphere, but the clouds in our atmosphere are to a much larger scale than your freaking pot at home. But this makes me think that you can't even cook for yourself because you literally experience the water cycle while boiling a pot of water. I can't deal with this much longer. Let's roll another clip.
They said we in space spinning on the axis, and we going around the sun, and we moving fast as in space. Do you feel that? I don't feel this shit. How can you move so fast and can't feel shit? I heard about probably moving slow if you probably feel like you can't feel shit. But when the fuck you ever move fast as and can't feel shit?
Oh my good God, I feel like I'm teaching a 7-year-old. Okay, so first off, the Earth spins at different rates depending on how far or near you are to the equator. If you're on the equator, the Earth is spinning at approximately 1,000 miles per hour. But if you're at the North Pole, the Earth is spinning seemingly 0 miles per hour because it's all pivoting off of that one spot. So for me in North America, the Earth is spinning at about 725 miles per hour. But let me get to why this man is real dumb. Have you ever been in a plane? Maybe when the acceleration kicks up from 0 to 300, you can feel it. And that's because the G-force is having an effect. But once you're 30,000 feet above the surface of the Earth, you're going at about 500 miles per hour, and you don't feel it. It's a thing called momentum, Delano. Once you pick up a certain speed, which the Earth has been at for about 4.6 billion years, you aren't going to feel it. If the Earth was to accelerate or decelerate at any given time, maybe 5 miles per hour even from what it has been for the past billions of years, then you would feel it. And you'd have to catch yourself. But the reason you don't feel it is because it's constantly moving, so you're at that momentum. If I was to take this bottle of water and walk this way, I would still be able to maintain holding that water bottle because it is at the same momentum as I am. But if I was to walk and then stop, it's not at the same momentum. Same thing would happen if I'm just standing still and accelerate really fast. It's going to fall that way because I accelerated without it being at my same momentum. So in this case, this water bottle is a human or a building or any kind of structure that's on Earth. And my hand represents the surface of the Earth. So keeping up the same momentum with my hand will keep it standing there. But if it has a different momentum than my hand, it will fall over. I can hardly deal with this anymore. What else could this guy have?
What scientists say? The sun light up the moon. Bull f***ing shit. If that was the case, it'd be a full moon every f***ing night.
God damn it, Delano! First off, the moon has all of its phases due to the Earth casting a shadow on the moon because the sun is the opposite direction. So, for a moon to be a crescent, the Earth is projecting that spherical shadow on the moon. That is how we even get a lunar eclipse. If the curvature of the shadow on the moon doesn't alone prove that the flat Earth theory is bupkis, then I don't know what else to tell you.
The sky's like made it like molten glass. The dome is like this clear glass above the earth. You got the water. Explain this.
This is called a lens flare. It is not from the dome of the Earth. Do you see in this image that it's a circular flare? But there's about 4 points where a specific buildup is. If this phenomenon is due to the firmament, then why is there a lens flare here at the bottom, near the mountains? That's not in the atmosphere. It's because that image can only happen due to the lens of a camera bending the light.
If you don't believe me, y'all, do your own motherfucking research. All the shit I just told you to do, go outside and do the shit for your fucking self.
Oh, you want me to go outside? All right. Hey, Delano, if there's a flat Earth, why can't I see the Empire State Building right there? Just the fact that I can ask one question and disprove your belief of the world means that your belief is bullshit. I really hope that you're trolling and you really aren't this stupid. But if you are trolling, maybe you should take up being an actor, because you're really good at acting like a moron. Guys, please don't believe these theories. This is absolutely whack, and I cannot believe people will just throw away all evidence of the Earth being round because one person can make a well-worded or enticing YouTube video. How is it that these people are centuries behind the rest of humanity? I just hope they find their way. And thank you so much for watching. It's been your boy, Michelangelo. Join the wave down below, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace!